Hello everybody! Today we're going to be talking about two Space Marine lists that have done very well recently in a couple very large tournaments. The reason why I wanted to do Space Marines is, of course, the new codex came out, there's a lot of new detachments, and the way that each kind of character works their way into a detachment becomes very interesting once you kind of cross-combination a bunch of the wacky things they can do. That being said, these two lists are not entirely inspiring in a lot of ways. There are some repetition in some of the units, but my goodness, they did well, so let's take a look at why. The Raccoon Rumble in Germany, 170 players. This Space Marine list did quite well. Let's check it out. And they use Gladius Task Force, which is interesting. With all the new options that exist out there for detachments, they went with the good old-fashioned one, which is awesome to see. It means that it still has legs, even though it's one of the earliest things in the edition. It seems like they're really working properly with their power creep. It starts off with Apothecary Biologis with Fire Discipline. If you've ever seen this guy before, you know exactly what's going to happen. Librarian in Phobos armor, a lieutenant with a Combi-weapon, Marneus Calgar, and 2 Victrix honor guard. Uriel Ventris, 6 aggressors. I assume Calgar goes with them, or maybe the Biologis goes with them. 3 Eradicators with a Multi-melta. 3 Inceptors, another 3 Inceptors, all of them with Plasma Executioners. 5 Incursors, 5 Infiltrators, 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, all with Macroplasma Incinerators and Onslaught gatling cannons, and a Scout Squad with a missile launcher and a sniper rifle. Apothecary Biologis gives you surgical precision, which is lethal hits, and a Vivispectrum. If this model's unit destroys an enemy unit as a result of a melee attack, his characteristics, objective control becomes 9, which is incredible. You can totally screw over your opponent, scoring some of those all so valuable secondaries and primaries. Combo that with a couple other things that the Gladius Task Force can do, and they're really hammering out damage on anything at all. Especially when you combo it with Storm of Fire. This gives it an additional AP. Now, aggressors have AP, but only if they're shooting the closest target, so this unit can kind of be hard to move around. Though that being said, if instead of the Apothecary you're choosing Marneus to join this unit, they can advance and still charge, which is very, very crazy. Uriel Ventris has a pretty good close combat attack, but unorthodox strategist and master of the fleet put him in a whole nother category. During the declare battle formation step, if your army includes this model, select one Adeptus Astartes infantry unit from your army. That unit gets deep strike. That is any unit. It does not have to be the unit that he is assigned to. You can do this to anything. You can do this to the aggressors. You can do this to your eradicators. It's fantastic. Awesome, awesome ability and worth his points already. But he does more. While this model is leading a unit, you can target that unit with the stratagem. Even if the stratagem has already been used on another unit, you still have to pay for it. In addition, this model's unit can be selected as a target of a stratagem while they are battle shocked. Incredible, incredible addition, Uriel Ventris. If you haven't used him, playtest him. He's super fun. He adds a really interesting quirk to what Space Marines do already. Calgar is an inspiring leader, and if he's in a unit, they can advance and charge and also fall back and charge. Master Tactician means that you get a command point at the start of all your command phases. We all know how great that is. And while his unit contains Victrix Honor Guard, he has a Feel No Pain 4. That doesn't come up very often unless somebody's trying to snipe him out, because usually he's the last guy in the unit anyways. The Librarian makes either the Incursors or the Infiltrators untargetable unless you are within 12 inches. This really combos off, however, with the Infiltrators because nobody can deep strike within 12 inches of you, effectively making them deep strike proof. They're a fantastic little 12-inch bubble mob. They can bounce around the battlefield. As long as you keep them safe from firepower, they're going to last till the end of the game and really disrupt your opponent's deep strike capabilities. The Ballistus Dreadnought hits hard. It's good for its point cost. I have nothing more to say about it. It's a fantastic unit. One of the most underutilized units and one of my personal favorites is Inceptors. These ones, 2 squads of 3, come with Plasma Exterminators, which is a really powerful gun, especially when you start comboing it with Oath of Moment, because it is twin linked. So you'll still get your rerolls to hit and your rerolls to wound. The best part about these guys, keep them in deep strike. With Meteoric Descent, you can deep strike these guys 3 inches away from your opponent, meaning they can effectively land wherever you'd like, and their firepower is going to hit With the rerolls to wound, it's going to do a lot of damage. These guys are incredibly effective. Do not sleep on them. If you have them, give them a playtest. They're a fantastic little unit. The other thing they can do is score you objectives, your secondaries. You got engage on all fronts that they can take. They can go behind enemy lines. They can steal objectives away if your opponent isn't really paying attention. Fantastic unit, A+. 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, Macroplasma Incinerator, and Onslaught Gatling Cannon. That is 600 points of Redemptor Dreadnoughts. The Redemptors really lean to the durability in this list. The Aggressors are toughness 6, the Inceptors, if there's 2 squads of 3, are toughness 6, and there's 3 Redemptors, so there's good durability in a list like this. The Scouts, the Incursors, the Infiltrators with the Librarian and the Phobos means that they're going to be really, really tricky. The Lieutenant with a Combi-weapon also can be pretty tricky himself. This list, I feel, would be tough to pilot, but if you've played it a lot and you got a lot of reps in, I think it would do really well. Your ability to change between Devastator, Tactical, and Assault Doctrine is going to give you that extra edge that you'd need to push this kind of a list over the top. Even just one turn of being able to advance with a couple of these units and still charge is going to be enough. 3 Redemptors advancing and charging will trash pretty much any army. The second list is a Blood Angels list, though it has no special Blood Angels units in it, so essentially it's just a Space Marine list. And it is an Ironstorm Spearhead. Let's start it off. The Lieutenant with a Combi-weapon makes another appearance in this list. However, he is joined by 2 Techmarines, both with the enhancements Target Augury Web, and another one with Adept of the Omnissiah. 2 Ballistus Dreadnoughts, 3 Gladiator Lancers, and a Gladiator Reaper. They really push the armor to the limit here. 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, all with Macroplasmas and Onslaught Gatling. 3 Scout Squads, which is cool as they are a new kit, all of them with a missile launcher and a Scout Sniper Rifle, and 2 squads of Inquisitorial Henchmen. The Ironstorm Spearhead has an amazing detachment rule. You can reroll either a hit, a wound, or a damage characteristic. This is or, but it is per phase. So you can do that in your phase and then charge in and benefit from it again in the assault phase. This gets massive benefits from things like the Gladiator Lancer, which inherently has an ability very similar to this, but not quite. It means your Gladiator Lancer's damage is definitely going to go through. The Lieutenant with a Combi-weapon is something that I haven't really figured out yet, and I'm glad to see it in lists because it makes me want to give it a chance. It comes with quite a few interesting abilities. Evade and Survive once per turn, the ability to move around the battlefield, is fantastic. Combined with the fact that he is a lone operative, has stealth, and a feel no pain of 5 means he's going to be jumping around the battlefield in a really interesting way. I feel though, however, he would be probably sitting on objectives somewhere in the back, as he could sit directly in the open and be untargetable with his lone operative ability. 2 Techmarines, both with enhancements, Target Augury Web and Adept of the Omnissiah, are fantastic, and I think are going to be staples in most Ironstorm Spearhead style lists. While a friendly vehicle is within 6 inches of the bearer, that vehicle gets lethal hits. There are so many vehicles in this list, and lethal hits on any of their attacks is great, especially if you make a little murder ball and everything gets lethal hits. It's just going to up your damage output to a ridiculous level. An Adept of the Omnissiah will once per battle round negate a single instance of damage. This means you kind of want to save it for that long shot last cannon or that crazy bright lance that just made it through all of your defenses, and you can go, what's the damage on it? 6? 0. Which is incredible when you have so many things that can benefit from this. Target Augury Web, Gladiator Reaper, Mercy is weakness 1 point stratagem. This really kicks it into high gear. Mercy is weakness plus the Target Augury Web means that you have the chance to score crits on 5 with your lethal hits, and those lethal hits would be sustained. Of course, you're probably choosing this on a vehicle, as long as you're shooting a unit that is weaker than your unit, because the flesh is weak. Ancient Fury with all these dreadnoughts is for sure going to be seen at least once in these games, so keep an eye open for it in your command phase until the start of your next command phase. Improve your model's toughness, save, leadership, objective controls by 1, and each time your model makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. This is great on any of the dreadnoughts. Of course, those Redemptors are probably your main target for something this amazing, as you could push them forward and they'd have a 1-up save and be able to really throw that firepower down range and get the big bonus. Though don't sleep on the Ballistus Dreadnought because it has a lot of shots, and if you need those shots to hit, if you're desperate, Here you go. The Scout Squad's Guerrilla Tactics. At the end of your opponent's turn, if this unit is more than 6 inches away from all enemy models, you can remove it and place it into strategic reserves. This allows those Scout Squads to bounce around the battlefield and score you those ever so important objectives. And I mean, they come with a missile launcher and a sniper rifle, so they can kind of threaten things up and above their pay grade. Inquisitorial Henchmen are interesting. They're only 40 points, but it's a lot of wounds, and they can sit on the battlefield and just be a big nuisance. They're pretty much there to screen and hold objectives. I see nothing wrong with that for 40 points. I'm surprised that a Blood Angels Ironstorm Spearhead didn't actually involve any of the cool Blood Angels Dreadnoughts that they have. I was assuming I would see a Furioso or a Librarian, as they're both really interesting units, and add some of that fluff. But triple Redemptors, 2 Ballistus, it's really quite powerful, and I can't wait to give it a try on the battlefield. What do we take away from this? Redemptors are awesome. Should you be playing them? Yes, they benefit in every detachment and are really hardy, which is one of the things that every army needs. A couple pinpoint units that your opponent's going to shoot at, and they're going to be more durable than your opponent thinks, and they last to affect the game later on. Thank you guys so much for sticking around for this 2-part Best Space Marine list. And we're a small but growing channel. I would love it if you subscribed, because we're going to be doing this stuff all the time. Space Marine Steve and I are cracking out content weekly.